Hi, I'm Mark Tilley and welcome back to Dirtbike Magazine's video series, Year 22, where we take you up close and personal with all the motocross models available in the United States today. And right now, we're getting our first chance to ride the all-new Husky FC250 Rockstar Edition. Now, let's take a step back a little bit. We have to kind of give it to Husky and KTM for bringing out a brand new motorcycle in the middle of a global pandemic. It's pretty amazing that they were able to do that. But with that, there is some teething issues that they're probably gonna go through for the first year. It does look like maybe some of their guys are having some trouble on the professional level, trying to find those magical setups, and that happens. I mean, that's not something that any other manufacturer is immune to. This bike, like we said, is brand new from the ground up. They slimmed down the engine. They both, 250 and 450 will run the same exact frame, brand new suspension components. I think about the only thing that will transfer over from last year's or the 2022 standard edition to the Rockstar Edition is maybe the front fork setup. But other than that, everything is brand new. This bike does come equipped with probably some parts that you won't see on the 2023 standard model, like the wheels and maybe the skid plate, maybe the special edition bars, gut seat cover. And a lot of that stuff will make the bike heavier, and these bikes did gain weight on the Dirtbike Magazine scale. But they did do a lot of research when it comes to contact points and rider contact points on this motorcycle, making it to where there wasn't anything that would stick on a rider's gear, on a rider's boot, or that kind of stuff. There is panels in places, one that goes over the shock on the pipe side that make an easy transition so that there isn't anything to grab on. All of the fit and finish when it comes to like the rear chain guide, the wiring harnesses now, there's guides everywhere on this motorcycle, more like what we would see in the auto industry. All of that along with the brand new styling. When it comes to the difference between like the Rockstar Edition and the factory edition, frame, engine, suspension settings, everything is identical except for the styling, the signature Husky styling. So if you want to dissect all the details of the 2022 Rockstar Edition, head over to dirtbikemagazine.com. That's enough talking. We're gonna go ride this thing. So we just got done with our first day of testing here at Glen Helen on the 2022 Husky FC250 Rockstar Edition. A couple things that jumped out at us right away. It does have a closed airbox and it does feel a little bit corked up. It feels like there might be a little bit more power that's left on the table. Not sure if an open airbox would be able to solve that issue. Now this bike does weigh more than what last year's bike does. It's got an all new frame, definitely a more rigid package than what last year's bike was. Trying to get it to track and settle down the same way as last year's bike, we just can't get it to do that. It has a different feel all the way around. Now, when it comes to fit, finish, all that stuff, you've heard me say it a bunch of times, it is kind of second to none. Husky did a great job on this bike and the 450 model, just as KTM, which is essentially the same company, did a great job on their factory edition models. Like I said, this bike did gain weight. It's got aftermarket wheels on it that are all murdered out black that give it a kind of a cool look. It does have a skid plate. There is some other stuff that did make it gain a little bit of weight. And gaining weight when you're in maybe the more displacement class, like the 450s, not a big deal. But when you're gaining, 7 to 10 pounds in the 250 class, and it's all about horsepower in the 250 class, that's a lot. Like it might change drastically. So this bike does have all the map switch that is on the left-hand side that you can change between two maps. What we found out between our test riders is the standard map is kind of the go-to map because they want that power right off bottom, where if somebody can keep the more aggressive map in the power all the way around and kind of use their momentum, that one will pull longer and stronger up on top. The traction control and the quick shift stuff is all nice stuff, not used as much on the 250 as what we would do on the 450 because power is at a premium on the 450. We do like how they condense down the kill button and the start button all on the same side on the right-hand side. It is kind of tough to get used to though. We're not gonna deny that. There's lots of times where hitting the map switch on the left-hand side, wondering why the bike hasn't shut off. Well, now all that stuff is on the right-hand side. So, but that's kind of cool. This bike does have all the stuff that we come to expect on a Husky or KTM for that matter, with strong brakes. The engine is strong, maybe a little bit corked up right now. We might be doing some testing for that down the road. This is a more rigid chassis configuration all the way around than what last year's model is. Trying to get the bike to squat and do exactly what we want it to do. There is gonna be a little bit of a learning curve. This is our first day on this motorcycle. We spent some time on the 250 Factory Edition from KTM, which is the Husky's brother version, but there's a lot more testing going on. You can see on the professional level in Supercross, those guys are trying different settings and trying different stuff all the time. So there is gonna be a little bit of a learning curve, but like we said before, it is very impressive that Husky was able to bring this all brand new motorcycle out in the midst of everything going on in the world. Now this is a preview into what the bike is going to probably be in 2023, but like we said, there will be updates to suspension and handling and maybe even different maps by the time this bike comes out in 2023. So don't forget, this is our first day of testing. We plan on putting a lot more time on this motorcycle before we give it back to Husky, trying a bunch of different stuff, maybe even go out and do solid days of suspension testing with Jordan and the crew at WP, and maybe throw on some pro components, you never know. And if you got a little bit more time on your hands and you wanna see some other 250 videos that we've done this year, click the video thumbnail down and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with all of our latest releases.